And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I call to order the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, their business meeting, November 25th, 2015, the day before Thanksgiving. I want to welcome everybody here, and a lot of you will be speaking. Would you please, or Mr. Krupp, would you please take the roll?
I certainly will, and like everyone here, I am looking forward to the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday tomorrow. But we are joined this morning from County Counsel, our representative, Mr. Chris Storey, and also just seated next to him, Mr. Ken Martin, who is our boundary change consultant. I'll introduce him a little bit later on when we've got a public hearing item on the agenda. Then to my immediate left, of course, is our clerk of the board, Mary Rathke. I'll commence with the roll call. So Commissioner Bernard? Here. Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Savas?
Here.
Commissioner Schrader?
Here.
Chair Ludlow?
Here, would you all please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the first item, as always, is citizens' communication. There wasn't any until just now. And that person most typically is Mr. Les Poole.
Good morning. I live in Gladstone. Spent 20 years in Elk Grove. And I see some of my neighbors here today. I have two things on my mind. One is I hope everyone has a great holiday, and I mean that. There's a lot of angst out there, and a lot of things going on that are concerning us all. And it doesn't matter what your politics are or why you're here today. We just need to be grateful that we're still in one piece, that we can come into this building without being strip searched for security, and we can get up here and explain or share our thoughts and have them captured on video so there's no confusion about what you said. And I certainly don't want there to be any confusion about a subject I do want to share with you. On Veterans Day, a gentleman came in, and code enforcement had filed, apparently an anonymous citizen filed a code complaint. And I don't know the merits of the complaint, but the gentleman seemed very reasonable. He owns property out south of Stafford, which puts him basically out in the area of the Sandalee Golf Course. And what I heard that really troubled me was that apparently we're still having code enforcement target individuals, or if not targeting, we've got individuals that suddenly find themselves involved in these complaints when it was a single anonymous person that filed a complaint, or maybe it was a complaint that should be a low priority rather than a high one. And we've had this discussion before, and my hope is that our code enforcement people are more selective in terms of prioritization, and that we don't have any more, after all of the conversations after eliminating hundreds of pages from the code, somewhere in there, it seems like we're still missing the mark. And I think back to some of the concerns that I have about how Mr. Langdon was treated. Obviously, this is a similar situation. So, again, I'm not here to get into the specifics of it, but how they're being handled and how a complaint comes to the county and how much time and energy we put into those various complaints is something we need to really think about. And I know nuisances are on nuisance homes, different situation. Obviously, if you got someone with junk piled 10 feet high or they're dealing drugs out the back door, that should be a real high priority. But this gentleman is trying to take care of Mother Nature, and I know there's others out there that are doing good things with their property, and they don't need to be subject to heavy-handedness. So again, I thank you for your time as always, and hopefully folks will have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. All right, the next order of business, Mr. Cupp, is public hearings.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have 3 public hearings this morning. This first one is to consider an annexation of about 1.8 acres of property into the Clackamas County Service District Number 1. I will ask Mr. Chris Storey and our boundary change consultant, Mr. Ken Martin, to give a staff report to the board.
Good morning, Commissioners. I will remind you that as you consider this matter, you are not acting as the governing body of CCSD number 1. You are acting as the Board of County Commissioners who has been assigned by statute the authority to make boundary decisions for special districts within the county. So with that hat in mind, we have Ken Martin here, who is our boundary expert, who has prepared a staff report for you.
This is a very small 1.8 acre piece. It's a single family dwelling. They simply want to hook up to the sewers with an existing dwelling on the property. The sewer's in the street from the district, and the district can provide the service.
Seems simple enough to me.
Now, Mr. Storey, say that again. We're sitting as what?
Clackamas County Commission.
Okay, I thought you said differently, and I'm looking at my script and going, I'll do that a little later, something else. Yes, we are for
Yes.
boundary change. All right. So, Commissioners, any clarifying questions based on that excellent and lengthy report?
We can
All right.
make it longer if you wish.
I'm going to open the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to speak on this item. We're saving the best for last here, you know. I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for the motion.
I move we approve the board order for boundary change proposal CL 15-006 annexation to Clackamas County Service District Number 1.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Bernard, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? All right, Mary?
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. I'll announce the board will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Service District Number 5 Board for the next 2 public hearings.
Yes, Mr. Chair, these next 2 public hearings involve the Street Lighting Service District. I'm going to ask Wendi Coryell, who is the manager of Service District Number 5, to provide a staff report regarding both of these. The first item is to consider a new rate category for street lighting service charges for the district. So, Wendi?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Wendi Coryell, representing Clackamas County Service District Number 5, which is the street lighting authority in the unincorporated areas of Clackamas County and for the cities of Happy Valley and Damascus. This morning, I'm bringing 2 items before you as the Board of Directors for Clackamas County Service District Number 5. The first of which is the proposal of a new rate, followed by a presentation on the proposed petition to light McLoughlin Boulevard. As you're aware, the district has been working cooperatively with PGE and ODOT to install street lighting on McLoughlin Boulevard, one of the many highways that we have that are urban highways in the district. And due to the larger size of roadways of this nature, a new higher wattage style fixture and taller pole is required to meet the industry illumination standards. In order for us to meet the operational costs for these larger lighting amenities, the district is proposing the board adopt a new rate and a new style of lighting. The rate for your consideration is rate M, and this would be for the higher wattage lighting style and would be installed on new aluminum poles or wood poles that are existing. Customers under this rate would pay $1.81 per frontage foot per tax lot each year. This rate was duly advertised in the Clackamas Review on November 18th, 2015, and staff is recommending that the Board of County Commissioners, acting in the capacity of the governing board for Clackamas County Service District Number 5, approve this resolution, which will adopt a new urban highway rate for Clackamas County Service District Number 5 as presented. And with that, that concludes my presentation for this portion, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioners, any questions about the new rate? All right, I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to speak on this item. Close the public hearing and ask for the motion.
I move we approve the resolution adding a new rate category for street lighting service charges for Clackamas County Service District Number 5.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Schrader, second by Commissioner Bernard. Further discussion? All right, Mary?
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Savis?
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard?
Aye.
Chair Ledlow?
Aye, passes 5-0. Next.
So the next item is a board order to consider forming an assessment area for the McLoughlin Boulevard area. And again, I'll ask Ms. Coryell to provide the staff report and recommendation.
Thank you again. District staff is pleased to present for the board's consideration a neighborhood petition requesting street lighting for McLoughlin Boulevard. The area for your consideration is identified as Area 27-15, McLoughlin Boulevard petition. This is a 170-lot assessment area located on McLoughlin Boulevard, extending from the southern boundary of the city of Milwaukee and the northern boundary of the city of Gladstone. This area will come under the new rate that was just passed for rate M at $1.81 per frontage foot per tax lot each year. If this petition is approved, lighting along this corridor will consist of new light emitting diodes, which is LED Cobra lights, and we'll put those on new aluminum poles or existing wood poles. In order to install these streetlights via the district's petitioning process, the petition must have signatures of 51% or more of the property owners in the proposed area. As of today's date, district has received signatures from 62% of those property owners in the petition area, which is 105 out of 170 properties. Prior to scheduling this hearing today, the Street Lighting District gave notice by a direct mailing to all of the property owners in this area in the proposed petition. And we're having this public meeting for them to also discuss the petition and review the next steps in this process. The district has received 3 written remonstrances and 1 verbal remonstrance. The district's rules state that an assessment area is to be approved unless 51% or more remonstrance is received. And therefore, with only 3 remonstrances, staff is recommending approval of the subject lighting area. And with that, that concludes the second portion of my presentation. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Commissioner Bernard?
My question is the $1.81. What does that exactly pay for?
The $1.81 cost is for the operational costs, and it also includes coverage for the maintenance and replacement of those poles and lights at the end of their life.
So I assume PGE doesn't just give us this stuff. How was I think it's important to note how the money came about. And I think, I appreciate that the Board of County Commissioners took the opportunity when some funds were made available to focus on McLoughlin Boulevard, which has been a critical roadway, and lots of accidents occur on McLoughlin Boulevard. And in my opinion, the lighting itself will increase the value of properties on McLoughlin Boulevard and therefore offer greater opportunities for investment. So tell us a little bit about how the funds came about to buy the poles.
Okay, yes, the district was offered an ability for PGE to come and buy some of our district-owned poles, and we went ahead and sold those to PGE, which allowed us to obtain $650,000 for the sale of those poles. Secondly, by selling those poles, it allowed us to convert those poles to LED style lights where we wouldn't be able to otherwise. The other portion of that money that we are using for McLoughlin Boulevard is an energy trust credit that was received from the installation of the LED lighting. That was where we converted the whole district from high-pressure sodium to an LED-style fixture, which saved us on those operational costs.
Thank you.
So as this thing goes along, what's the prospective time they'll both start the project and end the project?
That's a good question. So we've been working to set a timeline. The district will be meeting with both ODOT and PGE to coordinate the project. We have an estimated timeline to possibly start groundbreaking as early as April, and that we may start with one side, which would be, I believe, the west side, where they have the wood poles, and do some installation right away on those poles because it doesn't require a lot of underground. And then we'll go back and there's a whole process in bidding and going to construction that'll take more time on the opposite side. So we'll be having those discussions on how we move forward, but as early as, next year into summer.
So again, how long would that take approximately?
For the full installation, we would like to have the project completely done by 2018.
18?
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's our set timeline. But district would like to see it in the next year.
Well, yeah.
There's just a lot of unknowns at this point with the underground work, but we are optimistic that we should be able to complete it in the next couple of years.
Okay. Well, Wendi, you've caused quite a controversy because see all these right here. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and I don't have to ask. I've got a whole bunch of cards here, and we'll call you up in twos. So Thelma Hagenmiller and Brad Olson, followed by Terry Gibson and Ned Grunke. Either one of you can start.
Good morning, Chair Ludlow and Commissioners. My name is Thelma Hagenmiller. I am a resident of the unincorporated area of Clackamas County, known as Oak Grove. As a business owner, I am a member of the McLoughlin Area Business Alliance, often referred to as MABA. I am one of the people on MABA's outreach team who gathered business owner signatures on CCSD number 5's lighting district petitions. As one of the founding members of the Citizens Informed and Aware, usually referred to as the CIA, I chose to ask our citizens for letters of support for the McLoughlin street lighting project. I have those letters with me in this envelope, along with letters of support from our CPOs and sheets of signatures from their members. Many of them have already been shared directly with you during the past year. The focus of most of the letters is on the safety factor that consistent street lighting will bring to the currently very dark corridor. Safety for not only our residents and businesses, but also for those people driving through our community on their way to other places in the county. We are about to enter the dark, rainy winter months when, as either a driver or a pedestrian, it is very challenging to be on the highway between 5 p.m. and 7 a.m. Government's current emphasis on getting people out of their vehicles and onto public transportation, bicycles, and the sidewalks also makes it appropriate and even imperative that they provide a safe environment in which to do so. Top success leaders say the very act of writing down your goals increases your likelihood of achieving them. When the McLoughlin business owners came together for their first meeting, which resulted in the formation of MABA, they did write down safety in the McLoughlin corridor as one of their goals. MABA had no firm plan for how to accomplish such a goal, but once it was written down and shared with others, things did begin to happen, and the rest of the process started falling into place. I would also like to publicly thank Jennifer Harding of Eastside Athletic Club, who was the spark plug coordinator for the overall project, and thank you for your commitment of funding to this critical safety project. Happy Thanksgiving.
I don't think anybody could time that better than you just did. It's perfect. You must have rehearsed that, Thelma. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Thelma, for your work and advocacy on this issue. I just have a question. It was stated that 62% of the business owners signed your petition in favor of this. Now, just because people failed to sign the petition doesn't mean they're against it. What I'm asking is, of the people who did not sign it but will be taxed anyway, have you heard from them? Or do they know?
I might point out the remonstrances received by Wendi.
Was that a remonstrance?
Yeah, she gave a list of how many had.
And to answer your question a little bit better, there was one written remonstrance that was from a current paying property owner, and they will be affected by 30 feet of frontage, and which means about a $50 charge annually per year.
Okay. And there was only one remonstrance, you said?
Out of the ones that are currently paying, and then there were 2 written remonstrances from the ones that aren't currently paying,
Did you say had a verbal too?
and 1 verbal.
And then that leaves how many that will be paying who did not sign the petition but have not whatever?
Around, sounds like about 30%.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably pretty close to that number.
Okay.
But the ones who haven't signed the petition yet, for whatever reason, are still able to sign it before this whole thing goes forward, right, Wendi? They still turn it in?
Today is the day that they should do that, because we're looking for an approval.
Well, and just because they haven't signed the petition, they may be in fact in favor of this.
That's right.
That's what I'm just trying to determine. Okay, thank you. Very nice.
You're up.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Brad Olson, and I'd just like to read you the letter that I wrote in support of the lighting district. Excuse me. My name is Brad Olson. My business partner, Dan Baldwin, and I own and operate Olson Brothers Tire Factory Automotive Services and Towing in Clackamas County, located at 14115 Southeast McLoughlin Boulevard. The property is located in one of many non-lighted dark sections along the highway in the unincorporated area of McLoughlin Boulevard, Highway 99E, between Milwaukee and Gladstone. Regardless of our property lighting, it is extremely difficult to find our driveways on a dark and rainy, foggy evenings, particularly in the winter months, due to this inadequate corridor lighting. And I have more, but I just want to thank you guys for supporting us. And also, I would like to also second what Thelma said about Jennifer Harding and how hard she has worked to put this through, and we want to thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Good.
Hey,
All right.
Brad,
Go ahead, sorry.
Brad, I just wanted to ask, how many feet of frontage do you have?
A little over 200.
So, I appreciate the fact that somebody with 200 feet of frontage is willing to pay additional taxes to, actually make everybody else safer, and I just wanted to recognize you for that.
Thank you.
Good remark.
So it's Ed Gronke and Terry Gibson, followed by Jennifer Harding and Terry Gilbreth.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity once again to testify in support of the street lighting petition along McLoughlin Boulevard from Gladstone to Milwaukee city limits. My name is Terry Gibson. I'm on the Lighting District Budget Committee as well as the MAP-IT Working Group co-chair and part of the team that is bringing the petition forward today. I've been a resident of Jennings Lodge for 25 years. In preface, I would like to express my gratitude to Dan Johnson and especially to Wendi Coryell for even entertaining the idea of adding to the lighting district when Pat Russell, Fred Sawyer, and I first approached them 2 years ago as the Streetscape Committee of MAP-IT. After telling us how probable it was that this was ever going to happen, they got to work on it anyways. Wendi became so accustomed to my regular inquiries that I was eventually appointed to the Budget Committee of the Lighting District and have joined you at those meetings.
That'll teach you.
Yeah. Finally, they gave us our marching orders in the form of a petition just a few months ago. Thanks to the dedication and hard work by the members of the McLoughlin Area Business Alliance, particularly Jennifer Harding, co-chair of the working group, and Sandra McLeod, the petition process surpassed the legal minimum requirement of signatures in early October, and with persistent lobbying of holdouts by local business patrons, now stands at more than 60%. The next step is your decision to move forward. There are a number of compelling reasons to vote in the affirmative for this petition: reducing crime, increasing property values, but most important, improving public safety. Rather than dwell on the most recent fatality that took place just 3 months ago, I respectfully urge you to act in the affirmative today, because every day that the boulevard remains dark brings us statistically closer to another fatal accident. It's a somber fact that based on past experience, we will lose another pedestrian before 217 arrives. As we learned in the working session on the 10th of November, the funding gap that existed between the capital that the county has reserved and the projected cost will now be covered by the Oregon Department of Transportation, which owns the right-of-way. Thus, there are no more barriers to this project. Please vote today in favor of the new street lighting along 99E and instruct the county staff to work as quickly as possible with PGE and ODOT to make these street lights a physical reality that promotes the safety of our community. This is something that I know that we can all agree on. Thank you for your immediate and positive attention to this matter.
Ed?
Well, I normally try to keep a straight face during these hearings, but today it's really hard to avoid my Joe Biden smile. My name is Ed Gronke. I live at 4912 Southeast Rynearson Road in Jennings Lodge. I'm the chairman of McLoughlin Area Plan Implementation Team. I wanted to go very quickly through how all this came about. If you remember, this was identified as a priority short-term project in the McLoughlin Area Plan Phase 2 that was presented to this group on December 2011. McLoughlin Area Plan Implementation Team was authorized toward the end of 2012, began operating in February of 2013. MABA became key members of MAPIT. MAPIT and MABA agreed to concentrate on McLoughlin improvements. The installation of banners along McLoughlin, highlighting the recreational and commercial opportunities on the boulevard, was done in 2014. McLoughlin was completely resurfaced by ODOT with consistent sidewalks for the first time last year. Street lighting was the obvious next step, and the working subcommittee of MAPIT along with MABA took this on in early 2015. I was beginning to hope this would actually happen before I died. Public gathering, there was a petition gathering kickoff June of this year at one of the MAPIT meetings. Some of you were there to help us celebrate. And here we are on November the 25th, a public hearing to confirm the addition to CCSD number 5. It's obvious that a lot of people are due a lot of thanks, and I'd like to publicly acknowledge again the role that MABA has played in this. Jennifer Harding especially, everyone's going to thank Jennifer, and they should. I've learned never to stand between her and something she wants to get done. Thelma Hagenmiller, Fred Sawyer, Dan Johnson, Wendi Coryell, and all of you for your support and your encouragement. Without all of these, this could never have happened. And I certainly want to wish all of you a very happy and joyous Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Ed. All right. Next, we have the person everybody wants to talk about, Jennifer Harding and Terry Gilraith, followed by Baldwin Vanderbilt and Stephanie Rose.
Well, good morning again, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Harding. I'm a homeowner in unincorporated Clackamas County in the Oak Grove area. My business is Eastside Athletic Club. It is in the unincorporated area of Jennings Lodge. This morning, I'm representing the McLoughlin Area Business Alliance as co-chair. MABA took the leadership role in the McLoughlin Lighting District petition effort. With an outreach team of 5 and the assistance of the MABA management team, we were able to obtain 62% of the 170 property owner signatures of support to join the district. We had additional conversations, to your question, Commissioner Smith, with 19 others who were non-supportive. 19%, sorry, and another 19% who are, we call pending, or still considering it. Therefore, we've had 81% of the population of that group participate in the process. I'd like to thank a few groups. First of all, thank you to you for your support reserving the $850,000 funds for the construction of the project. This gave our outreach team the ability to discuss the project with the property owners by framing it as a partnership between the property owners and Clackamas County. Some property owners feel the county should be responsible for construction and operations. Next, I have to thank Wendi, Coryell, and McLoughlin. They deserve our thanks for navigating us through this 6 months. They were patient and helpful as we presented many, many questions. Also to thank the tremendous outreach team, Sandra McLeod, I don't know if she's here today, Terry Gilraith, Thelma Hagenmiller, Stephanie Rose, and Michelle Andrea. Thank you to my MABA management team for their assistance with making personal site visits, many telephone calls, and urging with their years of local business experience to convince fellow business owners to come on board and join the lighting district. It's been an intense 6 months of creating consensus among property owners, knowing that we would need 51% support. We are proud that 62% have the vision to improve the safety and image of McLoughlin Boulevard in the unincorporated area. The property owners have agreed to support the future of our community and their willingness to pay their share of their operating costs as we light both sides of the street for 3.5 miles of this busy roadway. I'm not sure many people thought we could do this or it was possible, but we did it. We request you approve the next step of this process and finalize the funding for this worthwhile project. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We have a lot to be thankful for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're up.
Hi, my name is Terry Gilraith. I'm a resident of Oak Grove and vice president of Eastside Athletic Clubs. We have one in Jennings Lodge, one at Clackamas Town Center, and one downtown Portland. We employ about 100 people. I want to speak today simply to explain the process that the outreach team went through. They mapped it out and implemented this process over 6 months. I voluntarily wear the hat of marketing director / party girl for the McLoughlin Area Business Alliance. So first, the county mailed out an introductory letter, very informational, kind of a black and white, to all the property owners explaining the district itself and identifying the operational costs per lineal foot of frontage on McLoughlin. We didn't receive, after that letter went out, a lot of feedback, nor did we receive very many signed petitions at that point in time. It was just the first mailing. Next, MABA decided to throw some money behind it, not just with workload, but some dollars, and send out a second mailing on their own to every property owner. And in that envelope, we included a marketing piece which displayed 2 photographs, sort of a before and after shot, which you can't see from here, but taken from in front of Walmart, looking south and then looking north. It's like night and day. It shows McLoughlin in its current state. The mailing also contained an informational letter, again drafted by the MABA team, and of course enclosed a blank petition form. We were just kind of begging for that low-hanging fruit. Within 1 week of the distribution of that second mailing, the outreach team began our phone calling campaign and the drop-in, disturb them, and get the signature program. We carried oversized versions of the actual street maps showing where potential lights would be placed and explained one by one, owner by owner, the value of joining the lighting district. Simultaneously with the call and drop-in campaign, the area's CPOs got behind the project. They were discussing this in their meetings, and Thelma was out gathering letters of support, pounding the pavement. Our third and final mailing, prepared and mailed by MABA, was sent to both property owners and then a second mailing to business owners. Hopefully the business owner could encourage the property owner to act. Many of the property owners don't even necessarily live in the state of Oregon, so it was a little bit of a challenge there. The marketing expenses were picked up by MABA, totaled about $5,000 for our efforts. I must say this is a grand effort. Some of the property owners required numerous site meetings and hours of attention. Some just smiled, signed the form, and said, let's get her done. So 60% have said yes, 19% are undecided, and we do have some that have said no. That's where we are today. Let's light it up. Let's make this a reality. Thank you.
Well said.
Nice, thank you very much.
All right, it's Baldwin and Stephanie, followed by Michelle Craig and Brent Emberlin.
Good morning, Chair Ludlow and Commissioners. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here for a moment. I had the opportunity to call some of these property owners in an effort to get them to sign the petitions. And we heard many reasons why people wanted this done, citing safety concerns, property value concerns, a large sense of community developing out of this. One of the most notable property owners to me signing was one of our very first property owners who has over 900 square feet or 900 feet of frontage property along McLoughlin. Their increase per year will be over $1,500, and they have a very, very well-lit lot. It's the McLoughlin Auto Mall that runs down, and they, surprisingly, I thought when I met with them that this may be a hard sell. Why do they need more lighting? But the sense of community that they felt that the new lighting would bring was, they thought was kind of the biggest push for this, that it would make McLoughlin look uniform, that it would give a sense of community, a sense of modernization to the area, and it would be good for us in this area to have. One of the things, you know, unfortunately, during our calling, a young woman was hit and killed on McLoughlin. And this brought a new sense of urgency to the project. We had property owners that were responsive of that. Property owners that lived out of state were responsive to that. Really seeing the need for, yes, we do need some safety, some improved safety on this. As a resident of unincorporated Clackamas County, I drive that area of McLoughlin Boulevard almost every day. Businesses that I frequent, when it's rainy and dark out, I have a hard time finding the driveways, and I'm, you know, at those businesses almost every day, and I'm just, you know, the reflection on the road, it's detrimental to our drivers. So I ask that you really, I thank you for your support in this so far, and ask that you go ahead and get these lights put in on McLoughlin and move forward with this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Baldwin.
Good morning, Chair Ludlow and Commissioners. My name is Baldwin Vanderbyle, and I am the Chair of the Oak Grove Community Council. On March 4th of this year, the Oak Grove Community Council Board voted unanimously to support the efforts for lighting the entire unincorporated length of McLoughlin Boulevard. Through the hard work of several local citizens, tremendous progress has been made in getting property owners to agree to join the lighting district. We hope that the county board will also support this project in every possible way. Safety is very important. And I have a question on protocol. Can I say a couple of words about nuisance houses, or is that not appropriate at this time?
It's a hearing on this particular item, Baldwin.
Okay.
But if you, we'll add a few seconds to your time. We addressed this yesterday. I hope you listened to that. Mm-hmm. And I think the commissioner are willing to be very aggressive about this, and we really appreciate our employees forming the task group that's out there working now. Any kind of input on that, please call the sheriff's office and give that, because our idea is to nip these in the bud and not let them fester to the point that they have been.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of
You could say thank you. What am I saying? Of course you can say thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are you done? Really? I didn't mean to drive you away. You had more time.
Well, I just wanted to thank the county, especially the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, and code enforcement for working together to close down the drug house that was at Cedar Avenue, and the continuing work. I've read through not all 20 pages of the changes that you went over yesterday, but I'm greatly encouraged that actually some action is happening now with that, because there's another 25 houses to go.
Wow. And that's just the McLoughlin area. There's more throughout the county, we believe. Thank you. Thank you both. All right. And lastly, we have Michelle Craig and Brent Emberlin. Brent, you realize the temperature out?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you. It's very comfortable in here.
That's the truth.
Okay, I just have something quick to say. Good morning, Chair Ludlow and Commissioners.
Can you pull the microphone up or you move way up? You can
that
move
better?
the microphone itself.
Okay. My name's Michelle Craig. I'm a resident of Milwaukee, and I've worked in unincorporated Clackamas County. For the last several months, I've been contacting property owners and gathering signatures as part of the outreach team for the McLoughlin area street lighting project. Through conversations, I have learned that property owners feel that uniform lighting is a much needed and long overdue improvement in our community. They express concerns about safety, such as vandalism, loitering, and theft, all of which could be reduced simply by having proper lighting. I personally feel strongly about this project because years ago, my friend and coworker was hit and killed walking to work on McLoughlin in the morning. If there had been better lighting, perhaps this tragedy and others like it would not have happened. I hope you consider these concerns and the experiences of the community and move to install uniform street lighting.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pardon me, I'm the only one without homework, so I'm going to have to wing it a little bit. My name is Brent. I own the Grove Restaurant and Bar on McLoughlin and have for the last 10 years. I'm not a founding member of MABA, but I've been in the committee for about 2 years now and find these people to be very hardworking and a pleasure to work with and learn from. Some years ago, we did have an accident on my north driveway. A young man on his birthday on his bike was killed in front of our place on our north driveway that does not now have a light, but will have one after the lighting project goes through. I too have 200 lineal square feet, so the $362, basically $1 a day to light that driveway and maybe save a life is a small price to pay an insurance policy to secure that future. I find the lighting project to be at least a major foundation beginning point to take McLoughlin into the next 5, 10, 20 years in terms of safety and property value and livability. Thank you for your positive consideration. And by the way,
Good without notes, Brent.
have a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you all. I don't have any more cards. Does anybody else wish to speak on this matter? Commissioner Savas. Oh.
I'll let Les go first.
All right. Go ahead.
If I could, I'd like to share my experience about 18 months ago. I've been driving the street for 25 years. And I stopped, had dinner with a gentleman, and I was giving him a ride to his place. It was raining, it was dark, bad weather, and I slowed down. He couldn't even find the driveway to his own place, and I'm going along at 10, 12 miles an hour, looking and squinting in the dark, and finally found it, and I pull in, and the car behind me pulls in behind me because they're wondering if I'm drunk or what I'm up to, and it was the state police. And that's how bad it was. And my point is, the state police officer said, "Oh, I realized you couldn't see a thing." And I said, "Yeah, I know the neighborhood, but it's that bad here." So kudos to everyone here that's put all the energy into this. And famous last words, let's get it done. Thank you.
Now, Les, if you could fill out a blue card and give it to Mary, we have to keep track of everybody that's testified. First of all, I'll close the public hearing. Now, Commissioner Savas.
Well, I'm just going to tell my little bit of a story. So I moved my business from the Eugene area to McLoughlin Boulevard, Oak Grove, in 1985. And I remember the first summer while I was putting my business together, the first summer alone, there were 3 fatalities on McLoughlin Boulevard, all of which was at night, all of which when I was actually building my business, putting walls together and painting and all that kinds of stuff. So firsthand, I realized, gosh, it really is a problem there. And there's been a lot of improvement since then, but still a long ways to go. In 1999, I was asked to be part of the 1999 corridor study, a partnership with ODOT and Clackamas County. And the 2 findings we felt that were needed, that the community came up with, was sidewalks and streetlights. And as a member of Eastside Athletic, walking across the street from times my business over there, lighting, safety, traversing across that highway, always extremely dangerous. Having 2 locations on McLoughlin, one on each side of the boulevard, sometimes I would often walk across the street, extremely dangerous, especially at night. conversations I had with Jennifer through the years. Be patient, it'll happen. Be patient. You know, the wheels of government turn so painfully slow, and here it is 16 years later after that 99 study, and we're realizing that ODOT made a tremendous investment in sidewalks, and now we, with the cooperation of the community and all the hard work, I mean, I just think about how many community meetings since 1999, thousands of hours that you all put in, others that aren't here today put in, knowing that we could actually get this done, having the vision, the perseverance, and the tenacity to make this happen. So my hat is off to all of you here today and everyone else that participated in this. And I just want to just give a heartfelt thanks for your effort.
Commissioner Bernard.
Yeah, I just want to add my thanks, but frankly, I knew this would get done with the right people who were involved in this project. And I got to thank PGE for the opportunity to get that money and for this board to preserve those dollars to light McLoughlin Boulevard. Even though it is an unincorporated area, we do provide lots of services, and that's always been an argument, should we invest? And I think the board stated loudly that McLoughlin Boulevard was the place to invest. I have some other comments, but also wanted to ask what ODOT's investment was.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you to ODOT because there was a funding gap, and without their support and funding to fill that gap, we would have had to shorten the project or not be able to complete it. Their total dollar amount was $250,000. I've got so many numbers in my head now after the petition. 220. And so they will be working with us, and as will PGE, and both groups are working actually as we speak on the project because I put them in charge of that rather than coming to today's meeting. So thank you to them for their support as well.
Yeah, I just want to add that, when Milwaukee was looking at the Riverfront project and working with ODOT to figure out how to make access to the river safe, we found ODOT to be very, very helpful in those discussions. And generally speaking, ODOT does a great job when highways go through our communities. And sometimes we complain about those other things, but they do a great job. I had a family member who actually hit a child on McLoughlin Boulevard while in her teens, who pulled away from her mother and rushed into McLoughlin Boulevard. It doesn't, so I think the concern is lighting doesn't make it safe. It makes it safer. And I don't know about you, but sometimes you pull out and you have drivers who actually accelerate like they want to hit you. We need, life is important. And, the lighting's going to make it better, but please reach out to our citizens to slow down if you're going to get in an accident, and always be aware of children. Sidewalks have made it so much better. I never thought that would actually happen, but ODOT has invested a lot of money in connecting that McLoughlin Boulevard. It'd be interesting what they do with Kronberg Park, how they get across McLoughlin Boulevard in that area. I haven't really seen the designs on that, but I really appreciate the work you guys did. I knew you could do it. And I mean, my biggest concern was always the money. If we had the money, it could be done. And we got close enough and everybody chipped in. And so, that first map 2 had some really important things, and there are lots more important things to do. But this phase of it really helps map it to move forward, and I look forward to the next project.
Chair, I move we approve the board order forming an assessment area within Clackamas County Service District Number 5, assessment area 27-15, McLoughlin Boulevard, 170-lot petition.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Samus, seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Further discussion? Yeah, I think I've mentioned to some of you, I grew up on McLoughlin, actually just off of Chestnut, Pine Lane. And, you know, people say it's dark now. It was really dark then. I mean, if I can remember some of it. It was in the 60s after all. It was the candles. Yeah, we use the oil lamps too. But we had a high school student that died there. It's been so typical, young people especially, thinking they can traverse along there, well, on their bicycles, for example, without people taking a quick right turn, not seeing them behind the car that's parked on the shoulder, and then that kind of thing happens. So I would agree with Jim, especially on McLoughlin. The best thing people can do is really slow down, and we will continue to work towards other safety measures. Certainly, light is great for a lot of reasons. Light keeps criminality down. Light helps with safety and illumination of important things that you don't want to hit. I'm really impressed by the work, like everybody said, that you all have put into this, and especially the businesses to get behind this and promote this. It is a community service in a lot of ways. I'm really proud of the businesses and how they put this together, contributed their own money to its success too. So yeah, you won't find any hesitation today. For once, I can probably predict the vote on this item. So anyway, thank you very much. Any further comments from my commissioners? All right. Mary, I think we're ready for the question.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye. Kudos to you all. And now I'll ask the clerk to read the consent agenda. Oh, let me do this. I'm going to announce the board will adjourn as the Service District Number 5 Board reconvene as county commissioners for the remainder of the meeting. And now, Mary, the consent agenda.
Okay, the consent agenda. Under Health, Housing, and Human Services, we have approval of Amendment Number 1 to the Intergovernmental Agreement with the State of Oregon Department of Human Services for the operation of the Oregon Food Stamp Employment and Training Program. Approval of an intra-agency agreement with Clackamas County Children, Youth, and Families Division for alcohol and drug prevention strategies for families. Approval of Amendment Number 2 to the subrecipient grant agreement number 15-018 with Full Time Inc. for peer support services at the Oregon City Drop-In Center. Approval of an agency services contract with LifeWorks Northwest for early assessment and support alliance services. And approval of a revenue provider agreement with Regency Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oregon to provide primary care and mental health care services to assigned members of the Clackamas County Health Centers. Under the Department of Transportation and Development, we have approval of Amendment Number 1 with the Oregon Department of Transportation for the termination of Agreement Number 28781 for Oregon Highway 213 Harmony and Sunnyside Roads sidewalk signal improvements. And under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. And that concludes today's consent agenda.
All right, commissioners, you want to pull or question any of the items? I'll ask for a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bernard, seconded by Commissioner Savas. Further discussion? All right, Mary.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Bernard.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Chair Ludlow.
Aye, passes 5-0. County Administrator update.
Well, so I have 5 items of good news to share with you this morning. The first, I'm pleased to relay to you that 2 weeks ago, the Monterey Avenue Extension Project near the Clackamas Town Center finished early and under budget.
Wow.
So really good news there. The project, which was begun this past May, extends Monterey Avenue from 82nd Avenue to Fuller Road, and the result has improved our east-west connections for travelers in and around the town center area and made the area much more accessible to vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists. So way to go to our Transportation and Development Department staff. Nice job there. Then the second item I have is, once again, I'm able to share with you the fine work of our Tourism and Cultural Affairs Department, otherwise known as Oregon's Mount Hood Territory. They are being recognized again for their excellent work. The department has won 4 awards from the Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International. Mount Hood Territory's submissions competed against some 1,300 other entries this year, winning 4 total awards related to our Austin, Texas campaign and also our travel planner project. So keep it up, tourism. Nicely done. And then our Water and Environment Services Department, we're involved with our Discover Rock Creek educational event. Earlier this month, Rock Creek is a tributary of the Clackamas River, and it's home to a variety of wildlife. The event provided a rare opportunity to explore the habitat and natural areas that are usually closed to the public. Nearly half of those attending the event were children and able to enjoy these hands-on learning activities to learn about soil, water quality, fish habitat, and plant care. And so I just wanted to express thanks to our staff over at Water Environment Services for being part of all of that and being partners to put this event on. And as always, our county employees are always giving during the Thanksgiving holiday season. This week we saw the county's annual pie contest, which is an entirely voluntary event, although I have debated about whether or not it ought to be a mandatory thing to participate in or not. But we raised some $340 for the Oregon Food Bank, so many thanks to the bakers who donated their time and effort for this worthy and tasty endeavor. I understand that this year the winning champion entry was caramel pecan.
Oh.
And then finally, we received a communication from Mr. Richard Cook, who's a teacher in the Beaverton School District. He wanted to share his appreciation for the work of our staff related to his Shipley Cook Farmstead, which is located in Lake Oswego. He particularly wanted to highlight the work that we had done on the Heritage Barn Workshop video that's produced by our cable office. He acknowledged the fine work of Mr. Tim Hyder, Garrett Teague, and Ryan Garris. He also wanted to thank our planning staff, Senior Planner Linda Priest, for helping out with the State Historic Preservation Officer grant funds that were used to help stabilize the barn there. So great work to our PGA staff and also our planning staff for all of that. So, and then finally, I just want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner of Communication, we'll start with Commissioner Bernard.
I had an opportunity to go to Hawaii for a week. Hawaii's new tree is the crane, because in Waikiki there are cranes everywhere. The mean home price in Hawaii is now $750,000. A lot of Hawaiians are leaving Hawaii for the better weather of Oregon. But, you know, actually, yesterday, a discussion in Oregon City talked about the prices of housing and whether the urban growth boundary expansion really was the cause of it. And as in Hawaii, as in San Francisco and a lot of places, investors are buying up apartments, kicking the people out, and remodeling the homes, the apartments, and turning them into either condos or much more expensive apartments, which is driving the housing market and the apartment rental housing market up sky high here in the Portland region. It's not all about the urban growth boundary. It's about who, or I guess we can't really control who's investing in the county, and I appreciate that they are. But we do have a housing crisis, and Clackamas County hopes to play a positive role in that in the near future. And I know Commissioner Smith has been working on that, and I look forward to that. Also, a week following, with only a few hours at home, had to leave my cows and chickens and head down to Eugene for the AOC conference, Association of Oregon Counties. Of course, and marijuana was a big subject, but I am the co-chair of a public safety committee, and the Justice Reinvestment Grant money, while it is has done a lot to reduce the number of people we send to prison, There has been an increase in people going to prison, mostly women, actually. And because of that, they may have to open up more prison beds. So the threat of that, losing some of that money, which we hope the legislature, many have promised they will not touch it, might go away. And that's substantial for Clackamas County, public safety, community corrections. And we are investing in our dollars so that we can utilize those dollars to keep people out of jail and prison and receive the treatment they need so that they're not always going in and out of prison. And of course, we had our first hearing on marijuana. We expected a lot more people. The Planning Commission had 400 people attend. Don't remember how many testified, do you?
40.
No,
Oh, here, 125 somewhere around.
125. So I guess I would have to assume that some of the concerns were addressed in the Planning Commission decision. But, you know, it almost brings tears to my eyes to think of the problems that we're going to be facing with marijuana, no matter how much regulation we put on it, mostly because of the rights of people to grow their own plants and for medical marijuana, which we have no control over. And that really bothers me, and I wish we could do something about that. We do have some land use controls, and my understanding is that Clackamas County is putting more restrictions on it than any other county, and maybe many counties are waiting for Clackamas County to make their decisions and looking towards Clackamas County to resolve some of the problems that will be faced with the legalization of marijuana. Nobody here voted for legalizing marijuana. I would say not because we're opposed to people smoking marijuana, but we knew a little bit more about it and understood the ramifications. Since then, we've learned that there are greater ramifications than anyone had ever perceived possible. But it is really challenging. This could perhaps be the biggest decision this board ever makes is in our tenure. And so all of us are very concerned. And, you know, I live on RRFF 5. My neighbor could build a marijuana grow right next door to me, and I'd love to say no. But I don't do this job for what's good for me. I do it, you know, what's good for the county. And I think that's the greatest challenge we face. And all of us, Paul, Martha, John, Tootie, myself, all are working very hard to try and make the right decisions. And I hope and pray that we will. And I hope and pray that this subject matter goes away. And I don't think it will. This will be something that will be on our backs for years to come. I mean, one of the things I told you I'd never do the bark thing, but you know, if you think about a barking dog complaint, and you know, everyone, where's that dog barking? Well, wait until marijuana's growing. Where's that smell coming from? Is it the guy that direction, that direction, that direction, or that direction? Truth is, it's probably all of them. And that's going to be a really tough issue. I wish we were a little bit colder here so you could absolutely not grow it outside, but I don't think that's true. And so I look forward again to putting that behind us. And I'm sorry I had to bring the subject up because I'm sick of it. But next week we have a lot more to talk about. Also, you know, since, you know, I don't know how many months we've been doing this, our dog services, we've been talking about our friends in our shelter that are looking for homes. And today, that's Jax. He's proud to be an all-American dog, and he is very friendly, very active. He loves to get up and go, especially if it's playing fetch. He returns the ball and drops it at your feet. He can even carry 2 tennis balls in his mouth. His Thanksgiving wish is to have a new family and a home to call his own.
Oh.
And if he would help pay taxes, he'd be at my home tomorrow. For more information about Jax and other adoptable dogs, please contact Clackamas County Dog Services at 503-655-8628 or visit www.clackamas.us/dogs, and you can see a picture of Jax and the many other wonderful dogs that are in our shelter. Thank you and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Commissioner Schrader.
Well, colleagues, I think all of us attended the Association of Oregon Counties last week. I had the opportunity to go to a number of meetings. I co-chair Community and Economic Development with Columbia County Commissioner Tony Hyde. And we had an opportunity to have a presentation by our two top state economists. And the good news is that the economy does seem to be recovering. We seem to be on an upward tick. That's the good news. The not so good news and the big worry we face is the affordable housing issue. And to that end, Commissioner Loretta Smith and I of Multnomah County have been appointed to co-chair a county-wide task force for all of our counties. So actually it'd be a statewide look at affordable housing across all of our counties, and that would mean urban, rural, and even some of the counties I call our frontier counties because they're so very rural. They're kind of like living on the frontier. Actually, this seems to be a statewide problem. Everyone has expressed an urgency about this affordable housing and, again, also chronic homelessness and how we would cope with that. I continue to work with Commissioner Pat Farr on looking at ways to deal with veterans and help end chronic homelessness for veterans as well. And down in Lane County, where he works, they've come up with quite a great program that is public, private, nonprofit sectors all working together. And I'm hopeful we can get a task force pulled together here. I know Commissioner Smith has been working on this as well. And if we have folks like you who continue to have the energy you do to work for the good of your community, I think this is an issue that we can help solve, not only for Clackamas, but for the rest of the counties as well. It was a really good meeting. I managed to run for second vice president. I didn't win this time, but I believe I gave a very good showing for Clackamas County, and I like to think my abilities. And it was very wonderful to go to the executive meeting, where I also am a member of the board, and have them say it was one of the best collegial, best races that they ever saw between two commissioners who had a lot of respect for one another. And we have a new second vice president from Union County. So hopefully keep your fingers crossed. I may give it another go next year with the support of my colleagues here. I am going to ask to bring up the arts and culture activities in the county. Here we go. So as you enjoy this long Thanksgiving weekend, remember there are some fun things to do. Favorite 5 country farm tour. Button up your overcoat, put on your boots, and come support your local farms, artists, and craftspeople. That's Friday through Sunday, November 27th through 29th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Self-guided driving tour around Wilsonville, Tualatin, and Sherwood. So if you want to go out and about after that Thanksgiving dinner, here's some fun things you can do. Sisters of the Mountain Artisans Fair. Enjoy music by Mikkel Roy and Josh Worth, great Christmas gifts, and more. Saturday, November 28th, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Resort of the Mountains in Welches. And for any more information that you'd like to know about any event, go to the Arts Alliance website, clackamasartsalliance.org. And finally, I'm just going to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's a pleasure to work with my colleagues. It was really fun to have a bunch of 5-0 votes today. And I think as we move forward for the good of the county, that is going to continue. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Be safe, eat a lot of turkey, and have a nice nap on the couch while you're watching the football games. So,
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don mentioned Richard Cook in the Farmstead video of the Heritage Barn Workshop, and I looked at that, and it was really interesting. It just goes to show the diversity of interests in this county. And go on our website and take a look at it. It was very fun for me growing up in an area that had a lot of old barns on it. Saturday night, I attended the 4-H Awards for Clackamas County-wide at our fairgrounds, and I have to say I was very honored to be invited to a group of kids who have done so much to enhance their own leadership skills. And I'm trying to get it, my phone's stuck, oh well. And trying to, they learn leadership, they learn responsibility, and they really do take those roles in the activities they perform. And this was a Saturday night about 6:30, and I'm also thankful for all the parents who attended that spent their Saturday night with their kids to watch them being honored. It was very, very nice. Yes, the marijuana, and no, my phone doesn't want to turn off. Sorry, guys. There. Yeah, you can take care of it. Shoot it. No. The marijuana hearings, and why we're all mentioning it, because it's such a huge, huge deal. And you can send us, emails at any time on what you think about it and what should be done. We had the hearing. The Planning Commission, they certainly did much of the heavy lifting for us. And now we're regurgitating all the information, taking into account Measure 61 is where it started when the citizens passed. Then
91.
91, I beg your pardon, 91. And then House Bill 3400, adopted by the legislature, implemented more rules. And then they also punted a lot of the regulation to the OLCC, the Oregon Liquor Control Commission. And all of these comes with volumes and volumes of pages of regulations and what we can do and can't do. So our job is to filter through all that with a lot of help from staff to come up with something that we think we can work with. And we also have, it's turned out to be two conflicting sides of the marijuana issue. We have those people who voted against it, don't want to see it no matter what. And then we have those who are pretty much supportive in the vote, and then the growers, processors, and medical marijuana folks who really want to see it in our county. So we have to balance both of those interests somehow and keep the public safety and welfare of our county intact as we go forward with that. Yes, I attended the AOC hearings or the conference in Eugene, and I left early to come back to testify at the Metro Council public hearing on what we are facing in land use in Clackamas County. Jim made some points, and he's welcome to his opinion, but Clackamas County is not Hawaii, and it's not San Francisco, and nor do I want to go down that road. The difference between us and those other places is we do have vast amount of lands that can be developed, but we have artificial land control measures in place that keeps us from doing that. And I feel my job as a county commissioner, as with yours as well, not only am I charged with the public safety and welfare, I also think that I have a role and responsibility to try to make our county as prosperous and bring employment in as much as we can. So that's what I'm working on. I'm taking a very heightened role in our land use activities in the county, mainly because of a lawsuit that we must answer to. Is one of the reasons why we're so much engaged in this. Like you all, have a happy Thanksgiving. I'll be enjoying it with family. I'm not traveling because most of my family is local, and I'm also thankful for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Savas.
Well, I wasn't going to plan on talking about the Metro, but I must say that Hawaii has a natural growth boundary called the Pacific Ocean, so it doesn't have a lot of room for expansion, and San Francisco is completely built out, so it's got its own growth boundary in the sense that it can't really expand any farther. There is no available land. So, and yes, ours is artificial. I too testified at Metro, and I'll just bring that up because it's topical. It was Commissioner Smith spoke to it and kind of shared that my part that I struggle with the most is that we have two politically charged areas that seem to dominate the conversation, and yet it's all about employment lands, it's all about the reserves for the future of the next 50 years, and yet two political areas seem to dominate the discussion and not enough consideration towards the rest of the county's needs. That's my issue that I expressed to the Metro Council. We did attend the AOC conference, and the homeless situation and the rapid rise of housing values and forced evictions, no-cause evictions are really concerning for the Portland metro region more than any other area of the state. This was a topic, as well as, you know, our vulnerable citizens and veterans as well. So I attended the veterans piece of that, and also our District 8 meeting where we talked about that homeless issue. We have how we solve that, I just don't know. But to say that the urban growth boundary has no factor or no relationship, I think is just an error.
Who said that?
It's been said. It's been said that there's no relationship to that, and I think that there must be a relationship to it. What I wanted to really talk about, of course, was the marijuana thing. That was the topic of the AOC conference, and a topic we had our meeting here yesterday, or was it yesterday? Yeah, it was. No, it was Monday. And this really is a quality of life issue, similar to whether it's dog barking or whether it's odor or whether it's whatever thing that affects the quality of life and the pleasant enjoyment of one's land and property. And I think because the substantial changes made by the legislature in House Bill 3400 from Measure 91, which passed by the voters, they actually put that before us, the opportunity before us to put it to a vote of the people. And I think Jim's right. It probably is one of the most important decisions that we could make. And I think that getting some input from the citizens on this matter is really important, because I think that is going to be a permanent change. And a number of jurisdictions across the state have chose to do that as well. Not that they have to, but they chose to. So I think it's something we ought to consider. If we are going to be the state or the county that has the most stringent regulations, we will be the one that will be burdened with the lawsuits that will come before us because we are challenging a number of other state statutes which we're in conflict with. It is declared a crop, so that means that regulating the farm practices are protected, and I think it puts us right in the direct course of path of attorneys, lawsuits, and by statute, we have to pay for all those lawsuits in which we lose: attorney fees, court cost, everything else. And that is something that the taxpayers, if they're going to have to flip the bill, I think they should have an opportunity to have a say in how we proceed. That's what I have for today, and I want to wish everyone out there a great, happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy your family and your friends, and look forward to our next meeting.
You know, we have been considering marijuana regulations for a long time now, and nobody's ever made a motion to opt out. And so what I'm going to do today in my time is to make a motion. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote no. But I want to put this behind us once and for all. I want to make a motion that we send to the voters the option in 2016, November 2016, to opt out. Is there a second?
I'll second it for sake of discussion.
And discussion. Go ahead.
Well, it was Monday that I suggested that we had a meeting scheduled till 4 had we had the opportunity, and I really had asked my fellow colleagues to discuss. Let's have a discussion about that. So about 1 o'clock, we had 3 hours to actually deliberate and discuss, and the chair insisted that we do that and not deliberate, and we do that on December 5th. Is that the date? December 2nd, which will be next Wednesday. So I didn't bring my marijuana material or my talking points to discuss that. So I'm going to honor the chair's request and do that on December 2nd.
Commissioner Smith.
Thank you. The reason why I'm not in favor of opting out, because I don't think the vote is going to go the way that the proponents of opt-out will want it to go. I've been involved in elective politics in Oregon most of my adult life, and I've studied trends and I've studied elections. Most of the people think if we re-vote, the voters will vote no on marijuana. I have a different opinion because of this. It's going to be the vote would happen November 2016. It's a presidential election, and some of us are up for running for commissioner then. And it's usually not optimal to run in a presidential election because they can be very unpredictable, and they also have a very large amount of voter turnout. And I analyzed the vote in each of our sections of the county, and I really spent some time on this because I too considered the opt-out, and I wanted to know what I felt, as much as knowledge as I'm able to acquire at this time, what that vote could be. Well, you look at Milwaukee, who passed the ordinance by 70, what percent, Jim?
Oh, it's more than 70.
77%. You look at Lake Oswego, you look at some of our really populated, highly populated areas, who swung the vote really away from our rural areas. In a low vote turnout, they overwhelmingly passed it. So you put it to the vote in a presidential election where high voter turnout, I would predict, as far as trends are concerned, that it would vote pass by even a larger majority, because more people will be compelled to vote. And secondly, people will say, you know, we voted on this once before and we're sick and tired of this, so we're going to vote yes again. Because voters in Oregon are really pesky. And if you go back in time, there's been elections where we voted on, and I'll use assisted suicide as an example. Very controversial. The legislature put it out to a vote for a second time, and what happened on that? The voters got mad and says, yes, we like assisted suicide by a higher amount. I don't particularly like it, but that's just me. Although I don't like marijuana, and I think the use is really could be derogatory for our society, and I am concerned about our young people and the normalization of marijuana, and I voted against it. And I told people to vote no against it. The voters have spoken. And when I ran for election, I said I would honor the will of the people with their vote. And that means sometimes you like the result, and it means sometimes you don't like the result. So that's the reason I'm voting no on the opt-out. There is more to consider on a vote than that, than just not wanting to roll up your sleeves and do the work and implementing the regulations, which are very, very hard. You almost need to be an attorney to be able to do it. So I am okay with moving forward. I will also say this. Our decisions and our regulations will not be perfect, because the rules we have to work with from the legislature and OLCC are not perfect. I predict in the next full session of the legislature, they will reconvene and look at some of the things that they passed, realizing, gee, there's a hiccup in the law that really doesn't work so well. And one of those could be, I think, is the sale of medical and recreational marijuana in the same location. Right now, that's not allowed. Well, that would be silly not to allow it. Why have two different marijuana locations, especially if you're an opponent of it like me? They should be in the same location with regulations. So there are many things. It's an evolving and it's a work in progress social issue that we will be dealing with in this state for a very, very long time. So the only thing I'm going to say in conclusion here is when you have an elected body of people like the 5 of us on this board, and when we come out and publicly say before an election, we don't support this, I really wish the folks would listen and take into consideration and ask why we should vote for something. In this case, ask why we shouldn't. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Bernard.
Well, I'm not going to support this motion either, because I also believe the voters have spoken. Not that I wouldn't put out something again and ask the voters to change their mind. I think that we do that. I don't know that I've done that, but folks have done that over the years and came out with different answers. But the truth is that you know, the more we discuss this, the more people have commented, the fewer we're seeing, and because I think we have addressed a lot of those challenges that the legislature and the OLCC has given us. I don't think that, you know, if the voters had read the measure, it was printed right there, if they had listened to all the media, I think that they are responsible for how they vote, and they voted in favor of marijuana, even though none of us did. And I just think it would be a waste of time and waste of taxpayer dollars to put it back on the ballot. I don't think the folks out there who oppose marijuana would raise the kind of money that the marijuana growers will, because they seem to have infinite amounts of dollars to combat the legalization of marijuana again. And in the end, if the citizens of Clackamas County said no, we are still surrounded by people who said yes. And my understanding is there are many streets in Portland now where it's worse than Starbucks. There's marijuana dealers on every corner. And then we would be out the revenue to combat what comes this way. And I just don't think that's right. I mean, I'd love to see a change in the number of plants that could be grown at the home, and the number of cards that a grower could hold. Because I've seen those marijuana plants, and I don't think that if I had 4 plants of marijuana, I could smoke enough to smoke all that marijuana if I smoked an ounce a day or a pound a day. I mean, it's a lot. Well, that stuff is going to be somewhere else. I'd like to see it reduced to 1 or 2 plants at home rather than 4. It's 4, right? Yes. And then if you're growing for somebody with a card who lives in your home, you can get close to 20 plants up in your home. And we cannot regulate that at all. And so, like I said, it's like dog barks. You're going to smell it, and you're going to wonder where it's coming from. And then we're really going to have to commit to enforcement, code enforcement. We're going to have to say that 3% that the voters support will be code enforcement dollars, law enforcement dollars, and treatment for folks who have become addicted. So I wish it hadn't happened, but it's here, and we have to make the right decisions. We need to do that now rather than continue this. I don't want to hear this for months and months and months and months more. I think we've got the answers we need.
Commissioner Schrader.
So I'm going to be as direct as I can. I've always been very conflicted about this, not the least of which because I had a brother who had addiction. Well, you have a brother, and he's beaten his addiction problems. But I truly believe in his case it had started with marijuana as a gateway drug. So I have biases towards this because I've seen the personal struggle it takes when people have to deal with these kinds of things. And I'm conflicted because I also visited some of the folks up on the mountain who are so angry and upset over this because they're living next to grows. It's the smell, it's the lights. We have an individual who has pretty much spent most of her time and a good portion of her, I suspect, own resources with public safety, with our sheriff's office, dealing with the corridor on 26 that has had not only marijuana, but things like methamphetamine and now heroin, I guess, is popping up again. So there's a lot of upset people there, and they were so upset the other day that they gave 4 of us a skunk award. And I'm used, I have chosen to be an elected official. And I truly believe that sometimes it's my duty to take the tomatoes, okay? It's just part of what you get. But this one was particularly hurtful because I do understand how angry they are. I absolutely hate this issue. I wish it would go away, but it's not going to go away unless we come to some conclusion. I have reluctantly decided to go ahead, let's get the regulation in there because based on my analysis of voting as well. I think Commissioner Smith did a great job outlining what she looked at, and I happen to agree with that. I think it's highly unlikely, unfortunately, that a vote will change, an additional vote will change the outcome. I wish it would. If I had more certainty that it would, perhaps I could get there. I'm worried about this because not only is it going to affect children, it's also going to affect our workforce because, as you know, many of the people, our businesses have a no-tolerance policy with any kind of, not just marijuana, but with any kind of drug, and I don't see that changing either. I respect the opinion of all of my commissioners. I respect the opinion of Commissioner Savas. I consider him a close friend and a good colleague. I respect Commissioner Bernard, Commissioner Smith, and Chair Ludlow as well. This is just a very difficult issue to deal with. So we could take a vote now, and I have to tell you, colleagues, unlike Commissioner Smith, I'm actually visiting, going to head out, going to catch a plane here, I hope, sooner than later, to see my family in Sacramento at this point. So could I just make a suggestion, since this is so contentious, and we don't want to start Thanksgiving off like this together, because we really do good work. Could we just table the motion and come back to it after Thanksgiving? Let's just do that. But because it's an upsetting issue, and I would like to see all of us leave collegially and in a friendly way, and not push this. I think that next, when we get back, we'll have plenty of time to have a deliberation. So I'm just going to respectfully just suggest that.
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll explain my reasoning.
That's all right. I just want peace in our time. That's kind of my modus operandi. But it is a very troubling decision. And Chair Ludlow, okay, so go for it.
Commissioner Savas. Well, I'd like to be able to come to closure on this, but we're not going to. This is not a up or down vote whatsoever, and I can't support it for a lot of the reasons that were expressed here today. And the reason I can't support it is I think that people that voted for Measure 91 felt that the recreational use of smoking marijuana should be not against the law and should be allowed. And I think that's what the voters did. So I'm not suggesting that we opt out entirely on the 6 categories that the legislature spent hundreds of hours on. And I was suggesting a more surgical approach, and that would be, and based on the 40 people we had here testify on Monday, 2 to 1, recollection, my 2 to 1 had issues with the growing, not smoking, but growing. Yeah, there were some people that talked about the smoking aspects of that. So, again, the legislature, and I can't, we have a lot of paperwork on this, and we don't have the time to get in this, into the details of this, but I cannot support the motion because it universally flies in the face of what the voters voted on in Measure 91. Surgically, opt out on grows, I think that is something that we ought to consider. We learned that there's a procedure called opt-out, which is really a temporary moratorium, and that temporary moratorium forces us to put on the vote November 16 on one of those 6 categories. I'm suggesting that we entertain, because of the emails and the testimony we've heard and the concerns about grows. And that can be repealed. We don't know what the legislature is going to do. We don't know what OLCC is completely going to do. I read the rules, the 78 pages of rules from the OLCC, extremely complex. The OHA, which is Oregon Health Authority, they have rules as well. So this mingles the recreational aspects of marijuana and also the medical aspects. So we have medical and recreational, so they're commingled in this opt-out thing. It would allow us, if we did that, it would allow us more time for the county and the state to evaluate the financial impacts of these complex regulations. As of today, there are no qualified cost estimates to implement regulations, nor is there any qualified financial estimates to confirm that the proposed taxes will even cover the cost. The state has yet to commit what they will regulate at their expense and what they expect the county to regulate at the expense of our own taxpayers. We will not know what state regulations will be approved until June of next year, yet we appear to be moving ahead without knowing the financial implications. In a nutshell, it appears we are rushing into accommodating the commercial growers of marijuana without even knowing what the cost is to the taxpayers. It reminds me of a national health care bill that was passed without reliable financial information. We can honor the will of voters on recreational use of marijuana while the state does a financial assessment and allow them to finish designing their regulations. Then we can consider how we approach commercial growing of marijuana in Clackamas County.
To honor Commissioner Schrader's request to table, that demands actually a second. Is there a second to table this?
Second.
All right, and there will be no debate on this. Mary, will you do the roll call?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith? No. Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Chair Ludlow?
No. So we will table this. And you know, again, my reason for bringing this up is I'm pretty darn tired of hearing somebody talk about opt out, opt out, opt out, yet no movement, no motion. That's what we do here. We make motions. I am a child of the 60s, and I've said before, if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. Anybody, when I was growing up, could have an ounce of marijuana. From grade school, this is in the 60s, grade schools, high schools, et cetera. And now, if we were to attempt to opt out, I believe it would lose as well. But think about this. There's marijuana all around us. Look at, there's outlets in Multnomah County, over 100 of them. Washington County just passed regulations without anybody showing up at their hearing. You know, obviously, we don't, you know, kudos to Shirley Morgan, an activist who has brought a lot of people to bear here, and a lot of people who've been, in a sense, victimized by bad actors out there growing medical marijuana. But sooner or later, we're going to have to make the decision and stick by it. Are we going to regulate this? Are we going to put our heads in the sand, pretend like we're an island and there isn't any marijuana around? We already know the effects of same in a lot of cases. And when each household is allowed 8 ounces of dried marijuana, and as Jim said, 4 plants, marijuana is here to stay. We are trying to minimize the impact on rural Clackamas County specifically. Let's not forget that it passed in Clackamas County, and it passed at a higher percentage in unincorporated Clackamas County. I don't believe that it is we're doing our duty to the public to just say, oh no, we'll just send it to another vote. The people voted on this matter, and I'm not going to send it out again. I want to take care, and we have some stringent regulations coming down the line on lighting, odor, setbacks, fencing, cameras. We have some pretty tough stuff, and as Jim said, the rest of the state is watching us because they think we're doing a darn good job. Even the head attorney for the cannabis industry that represents some 300 growers said we are doing an outstanding job in regulating. She doesn't like all the regulations that we're bringing down the path, but we will definitely discuss this on Wednesday, and I will make another motion, yet again, to opt out. I don't care what portion it is. You know, it's time to vote on this thing. It's time to put it behind us. It's time to take care of our business on Wednesday and push this thing forward and regulate this industry. So now, get back to more somber things. I won't repeat what the other commissioners said about the AOC. We had a great time.
Chair, I have to catch.
Go ahead,
I
Martha.
have to catch a plane, everybody. So happy Thanksgiving.
Well, have a great one.
Love you guys. I truly respect and enjoy working with all of you.
Thank you.
Have a
My turn.
great weekend. Your turn.
Thank you. All right. You know, I want to make mention of the passing of several of our employees this year. And I said several. That would be 2. Yeah. And Mary's got something right up there. And Kathy Van Vactor. She passed away on June 2015. Although Kathy was experiencing some medical challenges, her death was sudden and unexpected to her family and coworkers. Kathy started with Clackamas County in 2007 in facilities management. In 2008, she transferred to the Housing Authority. She was a reliable and responsible employee. She enjoyed assisting those in need and aspired to write grants to improve and expand services to residents and especially children. Her attention to detail was outstanding, and she had nearly perfect handwriting. Kathy was always willing to take on new projects and had great energy and enthusiasm for her work at Clackamas County. Kathy was a huge Oregon Ducks fan and a Portland Trailblazer fan, and took pride in wearing her team colors on game days. She loved to garden at her home in Damascus, and she shared with her husband, Tim. In 2011, Kathy and Tim lost their teenage son, Adam, in a tragic accident. She found comfort in her connections with Adam's friends, classmates, and teammates. Second of all is Richard Kershaw. He passed away in October of this year. His death was sudden and a shock to his co-workers at Department of Transportation and Development. Richard began his career at Clackamas County in November of 2002 in the County Road Department. Before coming to Clackamas County, he worked for the city of Canby for 11 years. He loved being a public employee. He was dependable, hardworking, and always eager to try new opportunities. He worked in all areas of road maintenance, but excelled on the hand brushing, chip seal, and patching crews. Richard's passion since he was 16 was motorcycles. Throughout the years, in addition to motorcycles and the purchase of his new home, his #1 passion was his daughter, Audrey. We're going to adjourn this meeting today in memory of those two county employees, but I'd like to read for you something that I have as my signature on my county, and I've read this before, but I think it's so important now. You know, we can be fed at these Thanksgiving celebrations, but the biggest feeding we should have is the love that is expressed to us and that which we express to others. It's so important in people's lives. So when you go forward tomorrow, tell somebody you love them, tell them how much they mean to you, and you know, in all probability, you'll receive the same. But the quote is by Leo Biscaglia, and it says, "Too often, the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around." Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're going to adjourn in the names of Kathy Van Vector and Richard Kershaw. Thank you for coming, and stay.